Good evening, it's May 7th, 2025, and it's my pleasure and honor.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, it's true. It's my pleasure and honor to speaking with a true, humble World War II hero, Mr. John J. Jeckovich. Yes. How are you doing today, Mr. Jeckovich?
Very good, very good.
You're looking well. I see you got new pants and outfit.
No new pants, new pants.
Don't be so humble. They just came off the press. You look very nice. It makes you look 20, 30 years younger. It really does.
Boy.
Yeah. So how was your day?
Good, very good.
I heard you went to painting and cooking and...
Oh, and cooking, yeah.
Did you go to bingo?
No, we didn't go bingo,
But you
no.
did painting with Amber.
Huh?
You did painting with Amber, right?
Oh, we painted with Amber, yeah.
And you did cooking. What else did you do?
They made cookies. We had cookies.
How were those cookies?
I had 3 cookies over here for you guys. Well, who took them?
I don't know, probably this guy.
That stupid guy sitting here ate them. Yeah.
That's all right.
That guy's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I know, but we'll look the other way. We'll look the other way right now. We're enjoying your company, and the studio time's only 30 minutes. So you had a pretty good day.
Yeah.
And Amber was happy to see you.
Yeah.
Amber was damn happy to see you. She sent a picture, and let me show you what the picture Amber sent to me. Hold on, let me find it. She's a fine young lady. When you have Christ in your life, boy, oh boy, it really shows. It really shows. It really shows. You get some of these other bastards that are egocentric, and all thing they want to do is themselves. It's all about themselves, and not in this case. Not in this case. Here's a picture she sent to me. You're looking pretty good.
What's that in front of me?
I don't know, but look how nice you look. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's overpainted today.
Yeah. What a beautiful day you had with that little girl. Amber Nicole Jeckovich is Mr. John J. Jeckovich's great-granddaughter. She's a full-time missionary, an avid surfer. Even though she lives on the ocean and she can roll out of bed on the sand, she still chases the waves all over the world. There hasn't been a country she hasn't been to chasing those waves.
Yeah.
She loves it, so God bless her. Let her keep chasing the waves, and brings that Bible hand in hand on that plane with that surfboard, and there she goes. But the time she's in the States, she spends 4 or 5 days a week with Mr. Jeckovich. So you restore your faith in young people when you run across a person like Amber Nicole Jeckovich that's Christocentric and not egocentric like a lot of these people are today. We still firmly believe there's more good people in this earth than bad, and she's a classic example of the good. So you had a pretty good day, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, he's got 2 doctors, his left leg and his right leg. What do we mean by that? Mr. Jeckovich jogged for over 80 years, right?
Right.
80 years. Mr. Jeckovich was born in Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925, and now we're 2025, and Mr. Jeckovich right now is knocking on the door of 100.
Pearly gates.
Hey, when it's your time to go, there ain't going to be no purgatory. They'll say, Mr. Jeckovich, you had such a beautiful life and a great life. You're going right to the top.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't going to purgatory. You're going right to the top. I'll guarantee you that, if I can guarantee such a thing. But there's not going to be no purgatory for you. You're going to the top. You're going to the top. So, Mr. Jeckovich, great legacy. He touched many people, a family man, veteran, friend, and a pillar of his community. Mr. Jeckovich was a testament. This is very important. Mr. Jeckovich is a testament of values, of service, faith, and love. When they call Mr. Jeckovich is the greatest generation ever, there's no kidding. There's no kidding. There is. There's no kidding. That is the greatest generation that ever lived. You don't. That's why we call him a humble hero. We didn't know that he was shot up, beat up, stabbed, bombed, trench foot, frostbite.
Lost a hip.
Lost a hip. We didn't know that for 2 or 3 years ago. These guys had battled on the front line. For example, the Battle of the Bulge, coldest winter record in the Ardennes Forest, 30 below. They never talked about it. All these World War II stories you got back then came from rear echelon.
Yeah.
What did the rear echelon do?
They didn't do nothing. Well, they supported us.
Yeah, they were support to the troops, but did they ever make it to the front line?
No.
Without the front line, you have nothing. Without the soldiers on the front line, you have absolutely nothing. And
Yeah, they're telling us we're suckers, though.
well, anyone that calls a World War II sucker is a sociopath with no empathy, and I'd like to personally kick them in the balls, and after I kick them in the balls, I'll piss on them. The World War II veterans were never a sucker. Let's get that straight right now. Let's get that right out of the open. Those are the people who were cowards that entered the war. They were cowards that entered the war. Right?
Now what?
Mr. Jeckovich received the Bronze Star. Yeah, they're suckers. Yeah, they're not suckers. They're the best of the best. Mr. Jeckovich received the Bronze Star Medal, the Purple Heart, the Army Good Conduct Medal, the Army Campaign Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 Bronze Service Stars, the World War II Victory Medal, Army of Occupation Medal with Germany clasps, Combat Infantry Badge, Sharpshooter Badge with carbine, pistol, and machine gun bars, the Marksman's Badge with rifle bar, and the Honorable Service lapel button, World War II. Now these words, these medals and awards did not come from me. Did not come from me. They came from Major of the U.S. Army Michael A. Rice, Assistant Chief of Awards and Decorations at 1600 Spearhead Division Avenue, Department 480, Fort Knox, Kentucky. That's where they came from. This is an amazing record. This is an amazing record. It really is. This is an amazing record. By the way, Mr. Jeckovich, you were 187 pounds during World War II.
I mean, what?
During World War II, you're 187 pounds.
Yeah.
How much do you weigh now?
151.
Oh, you got a lot of catching up to do. But the interesting fact is that uniforms, your uniforms can still sit on, fit you very well. Fit you very well, and even a lot of extra room. So, we're reading Mr. Jeckovich's book, and it's titled Their Mother's Sons, and we're in the second go-around. We have about 500 podcasts now, mostly on YouTube. And let's get to it. In order to open up the laptop to read the book, I'll need the passcode.
Okay, 421-965.
That's Mr. Jeckovich's dog tag number from 80 years ago. Could you imagine that? Wow. We're on chapter 6, and this is Home on Furlough, Farewell to Anne. We're on chapter 6, page 118. I'm going to read a little, or do you want to read?
No, go ahead.
You sure?
Go ahead.
You don't want to read?
No.
Okay. Oh, by the way, how many pages was that book?
What? 849.
Wow. 849 pages. That must have took you years to write.
No, 6 months.
No kidding. And I'm sure you didn't have a computer, and I'm sure you didn't have Google.
No.
How'd you get all the information?
Dictionary.
And writing on a yellow pad, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really old school. The book came out Word, perfect. We read the book twice now. We haven't found one misspelling, one sentence.
Remember that Italian told us all the mistakes we made?
Wait, say me that again? What was that?
The Italian told us from New York the whole mistake we made.
Yeah, I remember that piece of garbage.
Yeah.
He never even read the book, and he was all of a sudden a fucking expert. I remember that piece of garbage. Well, the good news is you're sitting here in perfect health, superior health, and I'm sure he's pushing up daisies.
Yeah.
What exactly did he say to you? What did he say to you?
He says, you did a good job, but he could have done a lot better. He says, you made a lot of faults, and they didn't put up the standards we expected.
What a piece
He didn't know what I was talking about.
What a fucking piece of garbage. What a...
He trying to make himself look better.
And he never even read the book.
No.
He glanced through it on the kitchen table when he's sucking down a beer.
Yeah.
Well, he's sucking down a beer. What a sucking slob. What a low-life slob. Well, anyways, the good news is, over 500 podcasts, everyone likes your book. And I get 10 times, 20 times a day, where can I buy this book and how much?
You're not selling it.
The book has never been about money. Oh, no. Oh, no. Not about money. Mr. Jeckovich has got plenty of money. He doesn't need your money. The book was written to give the younger generations a little roadmap to have a simpler and maybe a happier life, right?
Yeah.
It's a roadmap. It's not about money. That has nothing to do with it at all, believe me. And so, anytime you have any questions for Mr. Jeckovich, from anything from the war to coming up as a child during the Great Depression or marriage, text Mr. Jeckovich. He answers all questions, bar none. He doesn't miss. He'll answer your questions. For example, marriage. How many years were you married? 69. So there you go. He's got a lot of answers on marriage. He did it for 69 long and wonderful years. Unfortunately, today, 90,000 divorces in Florida alone. You know what causes a divorce?
Money.
Yeah. It's an absolute mortal sin, money. Because these young people, unfortunately, they have to work 3 jobs, husband and wife, because everything's so expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of people came to Florida because they thought it was a very inexpensive place to live. But I got news for you. The real estate taxes are so high right now, they're equivalent to California. And try to buy a homeowner's insurance policy, if you can. They start off at 10, 20 grand.
Yeah.
Insurance companies don't want to deal with Florida because of all the tremendous losses, so they have the policies through the roof. Yeah, so actually, we know how crazy expensive it is to live in California. We're side by side. We're side by side. So a lot of old timers that lived in Florida for a long time, they can't afford to live here anymore.
No.
No.
They gotta go back up north.
Yeah, they can't afford to live here. The real estate taxes are through the roof. Actually, if you think about it, the majority of real estate taxes are absolutely criminal. Oh, I know it's supposed to be for roads and this and that, but it doesn't usually go that way. It doesn't usually go that way. Maybe a small percentage. The rest of the real estate taxes are used for administration. Not too long ago,
15.
they're in the water department of these cities. They got too many city governments too. It's ridiculous. In the water department, you pick up the phone, the lady would answer your call, give you the service you need, and also pay your bill by phone. Now they have 12 people working in the water department of any city or county, and they can't answer your questions, and they can't accept payment.
Yeah.
So they have more people working in these county governments than ever before. And all this real estate taxes you paid is actually criminal. You say you own a house, miss a couple years' payments, and find out what little you do own. Little do you own. Yeah, and it's all bloated. It's like the tolls on the beach. We have tolls on the beach now. The government doesn't own the ocean, but they arbitrarily put tolls on the beach. That doesn't better the beach. It keeps salaries for generations to come. Merely a trade of salary dollars for these generations to come. How do you fix it? Well, maybe if you get rid of all taxes for senior citizens 65 years and older.
Oh, it never happened.
65 years and older. Or how about this? It's actually disgusting to hear people losing their house to a real estate tax foreclosure. There's thousands of them a week. Believe me, I know. I buy them. I shouldn't be, but I do. There's thousands of real estate tax foreclosures a week in the state of Florida. That's really unconscionable. Listen, why do you need to foreclose on that person's house to get your money? I'll explain the reason why that is totally criminal, but I'll explain the reasons why you don't have to foreclose on that person's house. For example, 2 years' taxes are owed on a house in Florida. The county or the city will call in a foreclosure and they'll have a foreclosure. You know, the foreclosures, by the way, aren't in person anymore. You have to sign up with a third country that's based out of China, and they handle all the paperwork, and you got to pay all the money by 10 o'clock the next morning. But the reason why there shouldn't be real estate foreclosures is this, and this is a very solid reason. Why would you foreclose to kick a family out of their house for this money? You don't have to, because when the house finally sells, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road, those real estate taxes would be taken out of closing. So if you conduct yourself in an honorable fashion, let the real estate taxes come out of the closing and let the people live their life in their house instead of pushing them against the wall and having each department 50 or 60 people handling real estate foreclosures and then charging fees like newspaper printings and publications. And they develop so many fees in these real estate tax foreclosures in Florida that the fees are more money than the actual tax owed. So it's not borderline criminal, it is criminal. Let these people live their lives. These cities are busting at the seams with money.
Yeah.
And they act in this manner. It might be legal, but it's not humane. It might be legal, but it's not humane. But anyways, Home on Furlough, Farewell to Anne. Do you remember that Furlough?
Yeah.
I recollected how I had walked down this same alley in what minutes?
11.
In what seemed to be a lifetime. But in reality, it was only a few short months.
Yeah.
Because now you're in Evansville, Indiana, which is a stone's throw from 3063 Orleans Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York. Nothing had changed but me and my desperation to overtake change. I had failed completely. The realization of my failure was brought home to me most vividly in the stark reality of my returning home. See, perfect sentences, not one misspelling.
Yeah.
What in the hell was that guy talking about?
Yeah.
What? That guy, what was he talking about? You just told me there's not one misspelling, perfect sentence organization. That guy that told you about your book.
Oh, well, you're a pain in the ass.
Just a big mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another sociopath with no empathy. There was no one home when he got home from Furlough.
Yeah.
I suspected Mother would still be working and Sally was around somewhere in the vicinity. Did your
She was in
sister...
school, yeah.
Did your sister Sally go out a lot? Was
Yeah.
always on the go?
Yeah.
Yeah. The back door was locked and the key was to be found in the milk box beside the door. Wow. I unlocked the door and entered a small hallway which led up 3 stairs to the back door of the kitchen. Wow. Wow, you remembered all that?
Yeah.
80 years ago, holy shit. I opened the basement door and peered down the stairway, but did not go down. So the basement was where you did all the work.
Yeah.
You fed the fire furnace with wood.
Yeah.
You did your workshop down there.
Put the coal in for the summertime.
That was your domain, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about how you took a hot piece of metal and you carved in your name.
On the rafter over the furnace.
What did
Put
you-
JJ.
What?
I put JJ.
Is that, you think that's still there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's burned in the rafter.
And what did you use to,
Poker it to poke the coals around.
now let me ask you, was that before you entered the military?
Before, yeah.
So that's been there about 80, 90 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really a piece of history. I opened the basement door and peered down the stairway, but did not go down. Instead, I reached for the key to the kitchen, which was above the trim molding of the door, unlocked the door, and entered the kitchen. Standing in the middle of the kitchen, I was dismayed at the thought that I had once lived here. In a few short months, I had completely disassociated myself from any emotional attachment that I had once felt here. I was thoroughly alienated from every aspect of it and knew this was no longer, would never be again my home. Man, that's a pretty bold statement. Why did you think that?
Well, because I was coming home for different living.
Yeah,
I wasn't coming home as a single person anymore.
yeah. And here we go. I almost felt utter repugnance as I walked to the house. This revulsion was not so much directed at the physical appearance of the surroundings, but more at the emotional sensitivity it triggered off in me. Here in the living room, where most of the bickering and fighting took place, the physical blows as well as the emotional skirmishes. The silence here, the silence that endured in here, when no one would speak to one another for weeks, only to be broken by discord and antagonism. So the treatment there was, if someone was mad at you, you got the silent treatment.
Yeah, you got the silent treatment.
And that went on for weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Silent treatment, wow. Still going on today. Still going on today. We would take turns eating, never as a family group, but as select factions paired out to an emotional affiliation and submissiveness of each party. What do you mean that no one would eat as a family? How'd that work?
Well, Stevie sat with my mother and father, and we waited till they got through that we sat down.
And then who would go next?
We would.
Who's we?
My brother, Loki, Steve, and Sally.
Okay, I didn't understand that. So I thought your mother sat and ate with you, but your mother stayed and ate with your father?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Steve.
Okay. Now it's clear. Now it's clear.
Steve was a prima donna.
Okay. It was here that I would attempt to calm the situation of the various factions into the family until my humbled and docile undertaking at cooking and baking. Needless to say, they would always fail, but I would keep on trying. As I walked into the two modest bedrooms, first my mother's, then ours, I noted that nothing had really changed. So
No, where did it go?
It was here in our bedrooms. It was here in our bedroom that we would huddle in desperation, seeking solace and protection for the night. hoping that our sleep would not be broken by a new onslaught of conflict. Wow, wow. I will never associate my brother's bedroom as my mother's bedroom. It was always my father's bedroom, and he occupied it solely stand by, please. Okay, stand by, we got some problems here. Okay. He had occupied solely himself for the most of the time. I recalled that I would never enter it, even when he was not home, but avoided it as some privileged sanctuary for my father alone. You remember that?
Yeah.
Here in the house was the secret, still unlocked, of why I could not release myself from its bondage and make a life with Anne. It seems strange to say the name Anne here as if she never be mentioned, as she did not exist. I could never in my wildest imagination thinking of bringing Anne into this environment. It was unthinkable as well as unattainable. The mere thought of its happening made me shudder in disbelief and misgiving. So, on this furlough, at this point your father's dead,
Yeah.
your mother's working at Carbrundle,
Yeah.
your sister's going to school.
Yeah.
How would it have been if you brought Ann Mahaney home?
It'd be a catastrophe. It wouldn't work out.
What would your mother say?
Well, my mother, I don't think she'd take her.
And what would your sister say?
It's the same thing.
So you were smart.
And Anne would be disturbed.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Yet, here was the reason I'd come back alone. Alone in my thoughts, not wishing to share them again with someone I had known and loved. I did not want Anne to be a part of this, to feel the pain and dejections and a subtle deception. I want a new beginning, and I hope in time our love would overcome my feelings of despair and despondency. I went down to the cellar stairs, and strangely the thoughts of my basement furnace as being my only friends in the house eluded me. It was only when I saw my initials burned into the rafters above the furnace that the thought returned to me. I had not thought of the basement and furnace for the longest time, and as a matter of fact, I looked upon it as some frivolous, childish preoccupation. Minutes? So, let's ask some questions. You feel up to it?
No, yeah.
So, this was your first furlough to come home. And they give you that furlough because you're going to be shipped overseas.
That's 30-day furlough, yeah.
And tell us in your own words what you did for these 30 days.
30 days?
Yeah.
Well, my mother had a big list for me to do.
What was on this list like? Give me an example.
Painting, do the trim on the walls and stuff like that. Do some work in the basement, do outside, get the back wall straightened out, and the garage. Fix the garage doors. There's a lot of work.
So your mother, when you came home for furlough, your mother gave you a big to-do list.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other things you did on this furlough?
What did I do? I took my showers at Hyde Park.
Explain that to us. Why would you go to a completely new location?
Well, because we didn't have a shower at home. We had a bathtub.
I see.
I put a shower in after a while.
What was Hyde Park?
Hyde Park was where the golf course was.
Did you walk there?
Oh no, I had a car.
So you drove there, and no one bothered you by going into the golf course?
No, I just walked in, took a shower, stalled, took a shower, got out, and went home.
Okay, I understand now.
10 seconds.
I understand. So you went to Hyde Park quite often.
Yeah.
Could you describe what it looked like in there?
It was beautiful, clean, vernaculars, all tile floors and that.